This week's parasha, Parashat Korah, we have the great rebellion of Korah against Moshe Rabbeinu, Korah against Aaron HaKohen, where Korah is saying, Kulanu Kedoshim, we're all holy. I should be Kohen Gadol too. Why is my cousin Aaron, why is he the Kohen Gadol? I'm also holy. I should also be Kohen Gadol. Like, what's this all about? And Chazal tell us there was a certain level of kinah, there was a certain level of jealousy inside Korah that led to this whole disaster. So now the question is, maybe we can get a little more symbolic, a little deeper. Where did Korah's jealousy come from? And maybe related to his name, Korah. We actually spoke in the past about the name Korah being a problem because we know that when it comes to Esav's kids, one of Esav's kids was named Korah, and therefore there is this whole approach that we spoke really about in detail in the past that maybe part of the reason why Korah ultimately ends up going to Tarbut Ra'ah and messing up such a big time is because he was named of a name of Rasha, because he was named after Esav's kid. But we also mentioned years ago that Esav was known as Seir. Esav was known as the hairy one, but when he named his kid Korah, Korah comes from the language of Kireach, of being bald, he was trying to say, oh, maybe my son Korah is actually holy, just like, Yaakov wasn't as hairy, and, he was more chalak, he was more smooth, so my son is more smooth, and he's not the hairy Esav that has that imagery that's a little bit more, I guess, negative in that light. So I want to take this idea of Korah being bald and quote a Zohar HaKadosh. This is a Zohar in Tazria Memchet Amud Bet. It says as follows. It says, this actually answers a different question. Students always ask me, why do the Hasidim shave their hair? They shave the main part of their head, the men, and they grow out the payas and the zakan and the beard. And the classic answer is, Kabbalistically, Hasidically, that the payot and the beard symbolize chesed, but the regular hair on a person's head, that symbolizes din. So I think that the Kabbalistic source for that is actually this Zohar. It says as follows, come and learn, come and see. Kol mi shehu mitzad adin v'dinim nechazin, but whoever comes from din and the deans are that the din is strong with them, eino nitar ad shemavrim mimenu hasearot. He's not going to become purified from all the din, all the justice, all the strict justice until he gets rid of all of his hair. And I actually heard once, I think I heard in the name of Avadia, that they asked him, why do the Sfaradim not shave their head if they want to go to the dinim too? So he said, oh no, because their shorsh neshama is from chesed, it comes from kindness, and therefore they don't need it because they're a chesed makor. But he says a lot of times some of these Hasidim felt, they're so strict in halakha to begin with that the deen is very strong and then they're very sharp. Therefore, you have to get rid of the se'ar, you have to get rid of the deen, because that seems to be what the Zohar is saying here, that if your shorish is mitzad adin, if you come from the side of justice, strict justice, you only become purified through getting rid of all of your hair. And once you get rid of the hair, you become tahor. So he says, bo'ureh. He says, halevi'im haba'im mitzad adin. He says, Levi is known to come from the deen. He says, the Kohanim, Aaron HaKohen is ohev shalom, rodef shalom, but the Levi himself is the deen. That's why we know in the rebellion against the Egel, when they were singing against God, so Moshe said, Mila Hashem Elai. So who steps it up? The tribe of Levi steps up, is willing to kill his brothers in a civil war because they have the Korah of deen. But Levi himself, Lo nitaru ad sheviu mahem et hasearot. They didn't become fully purified until they removed all of the hair. Shneimar v'chot ta'aseh lahem letaram hazeh aleim mei chatat ve'ver tar al kol besaram. There was a halacha that when Hashem inaugurated the first set of Levi'im, he had to shave off all the hair that was on the Levi'im from A to Z. My understanding is even including eyebrows. For that first initial inauguration of Levi'im, there's this halakha in the Torah that they had to shave off all of their hair. And so now the Kabbalah is saying, because that's necessary to get rid of the deen, to get them to be pure to serve in the temple. Says the Zohar, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Korah gadol haya mikol Levi'im. He says, Korah from the Levites, he was the greatest of the great. Now remember, he's jealous that Aharon becomes the Kohen, and why is he not a Kohen? He's actually a little bit older than Aharon. He's more closer to being like a proper Bechor. So maybe the Bechor lost the rights, but he's a Levi and a Bechor. And the fact that he's not Kohen Gadol was hard for him. He's the Gadol of the Leviim. Also, the Midrash tells us he was a Chacham. He's looked upon by many commentators even as a Tzaddik, and he was from the To'anei Aron. He carried the Aron itself. That was the most important job, to carry the Holy Ark. We mentioned in the past, Aron is letters Or Nun, the light of the 50th, the Shar Nun. He had this holy level Korah. So he was the greatest of all the Levi'im, says the Zohar. Sha'asawa Kadosh Baruch Hu lemata ke'ein shelemala ukarahu Korach. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu made him down below like he was above, and he called him Korach because Korach means to be bald, and that's actually, in this case, would be a good name. Just like we mentioned, Esav maybe called this kid Korach to try to differentiate him from himself, to try to trick us with Esav's kid Korach. Here, God is saying, no, Korach's name really was a good name. The name meant that he had no hair. There's no deen over here. Because Korach et Rosho bli se'ar. And then when he saw that he didn't have any hair, now why did he get jealous of Aaron? Now Aaron and the Kohanim also shaved off, it sounds like. But you know what? But Aaron had the special clothing with the special hat and the special me'il and the coat and that. And he says, and that's when he got jealous. Here he is standing bald with no hair whatsoever. His name means bald, and there's Aaron dressed in all of the greatest clothes. And that's what led to the jealousy of Korah against Aharon. That's what made him begin this whole rebellion to begin with. So you just see the hint in his name of being Korah, of being bald, of having no hair whatsoever, which was supposed to be the biggest baracha. You have no deen, you have no strict justice. You're ready to be tahor, to be the greatest of the Levi'im. But ultimately, the clothing, the jealousy got to him, and that led to the great rebellion. Shabbat shalom.